Welcome back for another episode of Count Me In. Adam Larson here, along with my co-host Mitch Rochong. As we look to cover all things affecting the accounting and finance world, our topic for today is highly relevant. We had a great speaker join us from the UK and talk to you, Mitch, about strategic business innovation. How did the conversation go?
The conversation was great. Andy Burrows is qualified as a chartered accountant in the UK and then moved from public practice audit to big business finance. He was quickly promoted through the ranks to finance director at the age of only 29 and has since worked in various sectors of business including energy, professional services, and software. Andy is truly brilliant and had a lot of great stories to tell, so let's take a listen to the conversation. What is strategic business innovation?
Sure. Well, I guess first of all, I started using the phrase strategic business innovation to talk about big change that transforms the business in some way. But I'm not too specific. When I started using that phrase, all I wanted to do is distinguish from innovation in the finance function itself and look at what's going on outside of finance in terms of innovation. I guess, secondly, if you look at the definition of innovation in some published material, innovation is like translating an idea or an invention into something that creates value that a customer will pay for. So it's customer focused. For example, online banking or online grocery shopping, it makes customers' lives easier. Or online shopping like Amazon or even iPods. It just makes customers' lives easier than it was before. And I guess I'm not just thinking of technology, I think. I'm open to thinking about other transformation ideas as innovation. Things like, for example, when Southwest Airlines brought in the 20-minute turnaround, wasn't necessarily technology based, but it saved millions of dollars and it was transformational in terms of their business and enabled them to sort of dominate as a low cost airline for a number of years. So it's kind of transformation and new ideas for value creation within the business rather than within finance that I'm thinking about when I talk about strategic business innovation.
And then, in your opinion, what should a finance professional's attitude be towards strategic business innovation?
Well, I guess I start by thinking about an example like Blockbuster. It's an old example. I guess to reiterate, Blockbuster Video had the chance to buy Netflix for about $50 million in the year 2000. But they refused. I think Netflix were even laughed out of the boardroom. But a few years later, obviously, Blockbuster went bust. And Netflix is now worth, it was about $30 billion when I last looked.
That's incredible.
And it's one of those examples. I mean, why didn't Blockbuster want Netflix? And, I always say it's because they weren't interested in customers, except to make money out of them. So anyway, it's a big case study, but and best not get sidetracked. Our main point in mentioning it is, as a finance person, you don't want to be working for the next Blockbuster or the retailers that are going out of business because of Amazon and so on. So that's why we've got to pay attention really to the likes of Blockbuster and innovation. The other thing I'd say is that finance, and this is my slogan over the last few years, is mainly in the business to drive performance. So finance has got to care about the success of the business, and we've got to desperately want to help the business to succeed and avoid failure. So we've got to have an open mind when it comes to innovation. We don't want to be the ones to say no to the next Netflix or Amazon because we were too risk averse. But at the same time, we don't want to support a repeat of the dot-com bubble, which had very little substance and was fueled by excitement and people throwing money at things just so they wouldn't be left out. So I guess that's the kind of balance view I'd encourage for finance professionals with innovation.
Sure. And just as an aside to that, it was your article I came across on LinkedIn about the Blockbuster and Netflix. And that's what really, interested me into bringing up this conversation and learning a little bit more about your mindset, because it seems, 2020 hindsight, right? You come across
Yes.
situations like that, and it's just unbelievable to look at those numbers and the opportunity that was missed. So as finance, look to support innovation as part of their business strategy, what kind of advice do you give those who are considering, maybe a little bit of a riskier initiative, as you said, or something innovative for their organization that's a little bit outside the box? How would you kind of coach them through that?
I think the first thing I'd say is make sure you don't stifle research. As far as resources in the business permit, just allow and encourage research into new technology and new thinking, and even research into competitor activity. Keep tabs on what competitors are doing. Now it may take a long time for that research to yield any results, and actually it's impossible really to do a business case for it, because it's like we're researching to find out what we don't know yet. So how can we say what the return's going to be? But we've got to give that, like I say, as far as resources permit, we've got to give that opportunity to do that. But it's important for those people involved in that to know that what their purpose is to work out what new things could benefit the customer. And we should listen to those views really when we have strategy discussions. The second thing I'd say is related to that, we'd have to be careful not to kind of stamp out innovation too quickly on the basis that the business case doesn't stack up. You could argue that online banking may not have had a very good business case if you measured it up against the do nothing scenario, because all it was a new technology. We weren't offering new accounts, or it wasn't going to particularly move people from one to another. But the fact was, it was going to keep customers from going away because of the technology used by competitors. So it wasn't a fair comparison really to say, to compare against the status quo. I suppose the fair comparison would be, what if we don't do it? That's a different ballgame. So, can we afford to let our competitors do a better job of serving our customers? So you've got to think of it that way, rather than just say, think of it in isolation.
Sure. Well, as somebody who solely does their banking online, I'm very happy to see that all of these banks made that transformation. So great example once again, though. And I believe you did write something on that topic as well. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I appreciate all of this insight that you're sharing with us. My next point here, or my next question, I should say, as we look at how organizations and businesses are transforming, finance, the function itself is supporting this, but how do you see the finance role transforming even further in the future?
I think finance is going to be more about decisions and business performance management. And I've said in a number of forums that this is the kind of thing that has already transformed the CFO role in general terms over the last few decades. Not innovation specifically, but change, global communications, travel, technology, all these things that increase competition, lower barriers to entry, increase opportunities, increase the speed of change. And the way I put it is that to cope with all this, the business has needed a numbers guy at the heart of the business. And the CFO is in that position to be that person. And now the CFO, it's, the pace of change is just so fast that I think even the CFO is getting overwhelmed. And what the CFO needs is the finance function to step up and help with that decision support and business performance management, being the numbers people at the heart of the business to help with that change, competition, and the way the whole global economy and markets are moving so quickly. And it's things are going to move away, I think, from accounting and go more towards business partnering. I say that, I hesitate really saying that, because I do think we need to do more business partnering, but at the same time, I can't see accounting going away. It's still really important that we're grounded in accounting. And in fact, that's what enables us to learn about the business and become better business partners. So I think in terms of the weighting of our roles, it's going to become more business partnering, more decision support, and less accounting. But accounting is not going to go away.
Right. Very well said. So I've mentioned or referenced a couple of your articles already, and I know in talking with you leading up to this conversation, your experience, your knowledge is vast. So in addition to all of these articles, I understand you've started your own online venture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is a finance training website. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So Supercharged Finance, what is that all about?
I think basically it's going to be all about it's online. It's online training for finance professionals who want to learn how to use their skills to add value in the business. So it's not like Excel or Power BI training or updates on IFRSs. This is how to add value in the business and what skills and whatnot you need as finance professionals to do that. So that's at superchargedfinance.com, and I'm building that up at the moment.
Well, that's great. And for the listeners, as I said, the articles that I've read and the conversation we've had today, I highly recommend it. So we certainly appreciate your time today, Andy. And before we wrap up, are there any other points you want to kind of mention?
I think just one final point. I mean, this is a good way to wrap it up, I guess. And it's just to re-emphasize one point. As finance people, don't sit on the sidelines just spectating the business as it struggles with innovation. Don't just feel like the commentator, like the sports commentator up in the stands watching everything happen and kind of tut-tutting as various ideas crash and burn. Get involved. Show your business colleagues that you're with them and you want to use your financial and business knowledge to help the business tread the best path to success. So, be part of the business and not standing over the top, just looking in and spectating. I guess that's my final point of summing up, really.
Well, that's a great way to wrap things up. I certainly agree with you. And one more time, we thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been great.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.